Hi everyone, let's talk about Nicolas Jaar. Nicolas Jaar is an electronic music artist who has been making music since the late part of the 2000s, the early part of the 2010s, releasing one of the more recognizable micro-house albums in the 2010s, Space Is Only Noise. He followed that album up with other projects like the film score Pomegranates, as well as his sophomore release, Sirens. Or is that his third release? I don't know. Edits is technically his debut album. But back in 2018, he released an album under another name, Against All Logic, 2012 through 2017. Now, that wasn't a micro house album, that was actually a deep house album. And we talked about Nicolas Jaar not that long ago with his follow-up to that album, 2017 through 2019. An album that I really love. I love that album quite a bit. However, going into Cenizas, I was not expecting a house album at all, mainly because he doesn't specialize in house music under his own name. It's more ambient, it's more minimal, and what would you know? This album is a little atmospheric, a little mysterious, ominous. So I think I still have to emphasize that I was not expecting a deep house album, another house album on this record, with the lead single to this album, Sunder, being just a really different sound that Nicolas Jaar I really don't think has indulged in. More ambient and electroacoustic instrumentation unlike his previous efforts. There's like a mysterious aura surrounding this album, and even to this day, I've listened to this record numerous times, and I can't really penetrate it. I can't really digest it. And on the surface that might sound like a bad thing, but there are some albums that I really enjoy that are hard to digest. I really like how sparse, mysterious, again, and atmospheric a lot of these songs are. Throwing away any sort of functioning song structure and just putting these really interesting pop, crackle sound bits with a lot of ambient textures, with fractured piano notes, a lot of weird instrumentation. Cold is another way I could describe this album, and also abstract. This record to me feels like I'm looking at a very extravagant, weird, and avant-garde art sculpture. It doesn't have a form, it doesn't have a shape, it doesn't really have anything going for it, but the only thing that is going for it is how wild and avant-garde it is. On one hand, that could be a good thing for an album. On the other, an album can really just relish in that avant-gardeness. Now, I wouldn't say Cenizas would do that, but there are moments on this record that I feel like I think go overboard a little bit, like the track GOCCE? The fifth track on this record, which is like a frenzy of weird piano notes and a weird clicking that's going on in the background. Pretty much this and some other like ambient textures that are going on underneath this weird instrumentation lasts for about 4 minutes. The track Rubble is the same way as well, with these horns instead of some pianos. You have subtle piano notes underneath everything, and there's not so much clicking like there was on GOCCE. There are also some moments on this record where there's a very high-pitched hum, kind of like a dog whistle in some way. For me, it is very, very, very irritating to my ears. Not that I get mad listening to these songs with these high-pitched ringing noises, but I just get very uncomfortable. Like on the opening moments of Vassia, and also some moments on Sunder. There are also other moments that I can't really wrap my head around, but there are some really beautiful moments on this record too. Like the track Garden, which is this ambient passage with pianos. It's kind of like if you mix how Tim Hecker can use a piano to his advantage, but mix it with the softer side of Aphex Twin. Actually, he has a song like that. It's Avril 14th. Kind of like that song, but elongated with a lot of reverb. The track Mud is also really well textured, and I like that about this song. And I think it has a progression and a flow to it, even if it is a little strange, a little weird, a little cryptic, with the backing vocals in the background and some instrumentation that feels a little random. You also have the opening moment VANISH, which is a dark and sparse ambient passage. I think it coasts us into this album similar to how the last track coasts us out. Faith Made of Silk is the title of this track. I also like the percussion that's used towards the latter half of the song. You also have Hello Chain, which reminds me of the opening track as well, except there's like a part where the song kind of ends and then almost a new passage begins, which isn't too disconnected from the first part of the song. It's still this eerie, ominous, mysterious ambient passage. You also have the title track of the album, which kind of does the same thing the other ambient passages do, except it's darker, with some rumbling ambient texture along with some really eerie vocal samples that make me sound like I'm in the middle of a forest at night and I'm hearing animals that are awake. Other than those moments, this album kind of puzzled me, and not in a way that I like to be puzzled. Sure, there are moments that I find admirable and very intriguing, but like I said earlier, this album feels like an extravagant art piece that I'm not allowed to fully understand, or that I can't fully understand. Maybe if there's more of a sonic direction with this album, I would like it, but for what it is, it's a fine piece of work, but it's one that I'm not going to go back to all that much. Still, I guess it leaves me questioning what the hell is going on this album. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, so I'm just gonna give this album a B- because I don't understand. Hey, it's an admirable effort that I wish had a little more cohesion to it, but it is what it is. However, I am curious to know what are your thoughts and opinions on this album down below. Let me know what albums you want me to review next, and that is it. Leave a like, comment, share, do whatever you want. Let me know how I can improve future videos down below. Remember, this is only my opinion because music is subjective.